I stand here with a heavy heart to bid farewell to somebody I called Bitso, my namesake. In the city of Johannesburg, we've been through a lot. In the last term, from 2016 to 2021, we buried 18 councillors, 2 of which were executive mayors. In the new term, when we had our first funeral, I stood and I said, I hope this is not going to follow in the same pattern. We are now at councillor number 3, and the 3rd is a former mayor, all in 5 months. It's all too much for us to take in. We have so many questions. I've received many words of condolences, words of encouragement, many prayers, but I'm also detecting a lot of fear. Fear that I will be next. And indeed, statisticians would say the balance of probabilities is that the city mayor, if you look at the pattern, a very concerning pattern, but I want to encourage everyone that I will not die prematurely, and we trust God to deliver us. We trust Him to encourage us. I've been warned very strongly not to entertain that thinking, but to rather speak life, because death and life is in the power of the tongue. And so I align with the words of the psalmist in Psalm 118, verse 17, and he says, I will not die, but I will live and declare the works of the Lord. And I align myself with the words of Paul, Apostle Paul in Philippians 1 and verse 6, where he says, he who started a good work in me will see it to completion. We serve a mighty God. Mpho and I had the conversation after we both mourned the passing of our mutual friend, former Mayor Jhb. And I said to him, Bitso, do you pray? And he said, Bitso, I do pray. And I said, Bitso, stay in prayer. We don't know what happened, only God knows, but may his soul rest in peace. Let me just share a little bit of my experience of Mpho, my namesake. We met under not so pleasant circumstances. In fact, he was attacking me on Twitter. And he was alleging that in 2016 I voted in Alex and I was not supposed to vote in Alex. And after a lot of back and forth, I don't know if I ended up blocking him or I just ignored him. But little did I know that he would end up in council. He was not in council at the time. And in 2019, when the NC took back the city of Johannesburg, our mutual friend became an MMC. We planned a lunch where I wanted to congratulate him, as he had really been supportive of me when I was MMC. He picked the venue, and lo and behold, he picked the restaurant of his friend, who I was not aware at the time was the same person who had been attacking me on Twitter. And so I go to this restaurant, and here's this man sitting next to him, and our friend introduces us, and he tells me who it was. I was not very impressed. So I looked at him and I said, what was that about? And he said, sorry, Bitso, I was misled. And that is how our friendship started, through our mutual friend, Jhb. Of course, he served as an MMC until the passing of our friend, where he took over as the mayor of the city. We then campaigned against each other for the position of mayor in the 2021 election. We would talk through the campaign, and he would say to me, I wish you become the leader of the opposition. We would work well together. And I'd say to him, I agree, we'll work well together, but I'll be the mayor. And he would laugh. He laughed a lot. On the day of my election, he walked over to me. He held both my hands and he pledged his support. He pledged to support my mayorship on one condition, and the condition was that the ANC wards would also be taken care of. I gave him my word. And that was the start of a beautiful working relationship. After I became mayor, immediately thereafter, I was told there's a golf tournament, the Joburg Open, which had been planned long before my election. As I had not been on the golf course for almost 3 years, I said to Sisbongi, what are we going to do now? The mayor's supposed to tee off. And we agreed with Sisbongi that I would ask Vito to tee off on my behalf. I gave him a call to ask him, and he agreed. The day of the tournament, very early in the morning, I received a message, a WhatsApp message, and he said, Vito, I will not be able to tee off for you. The ANC says I must concentrate on being the leader of the opposition and let you be the mayor. And so he dropped me. But I always got the sense that Vito was torn between the good person he was and becoming a politician. And it's something I really identified with as somebody who also struggles self-identifying as a politician. He was very strategic in council. He liked to fish, and he sat across me in the council chamber. Whenever he would come towards me, I always knew I couldn't let my guard down because he had a way of fishing for information. I remember one day he came and he said to me, who's your MMC for economic development? And I looked at the leader of executive very confused, and I pointed to the MMC and I said, there he is. And he said to me, have you seen Gayton McKenzie's Facebook post? Of course I hadn't seen it. And he WhatsApped it to me. And I realized what he was talking about, and I tried very hard to keep my poker face so I don't give away that yes, we are entering into a coalition with the Patriotic Alliance. But he was so smart, he quickly put 2 and 2 together because I was not surprised. And from my reaction, he was able to strategize. And before I knew it, the NC was walking out of council. We had many wonderful experiences. And our last conversation was actually a WhatsApp conversation where I wrote to him and I said, when am I collecting my prize money? Because we had taken a bet over a certain court case where he said to me, we're going to win, and I said, you're going to lose. And he said, let's take a bet. If we win, you owe me 1,000 rand. And if we lose, I owe you 1,000 rand. And so I sent him this WhatsApp a few weeks ago, and I said to him, when am I collecting my prize money? And he laughed. He always laughed. Honorable President, Honorable Premier, we've entered a phase of politics that's reminiscent of the late President Nelson Mandela's government of national unity. The country at the moment has more coalition governments than it's ever had in its history. And it's almost as if we can assume that in 2024, it is likely that we will see even more coalition governments within our provinces and at national. It's a phase of politics that requires an understanding of what democracy truly means. It's a phase of politics that also requires great maturity. It requires a certain type of leadership, and Mpho possessed that type of leadership. We were not ready to lose him. The Joburg multi-party government worked very well with the ANC in Joburg under Mpho's leadership, except for a few teething glitches. And it is my prayer that you'll give us a successor that has the same love for people and the same level of political maturity. For while we must compete as political opponents, it must be done with the utmost respect for each other and for the people that we serve. Condolences to the family, condolences to the African National Congress, condolences to the city of Johannesburg, the people of Alexandria, and to all who loved him and knew him. A moya wa gagwe o robaleka kagiso.